The echo chamber of approval. Are we chasing rainbows? Picture yourself, thumb endlessly scrolling, a fleeting smile for that tiny heart icon, then an immediate return to that familiar, nagging emptiness, that quiet ache no amount of digital applause can truly fix. Or consider the workplace. Your boss sings your praises. Maybe that long-awaited promotion finally comes through. Yet the victory lap feels strangely hollow, almost a silent letdown. What if I told you the approval we so desperately chase, from our jobs, our friends, even those anonymous faces online, is nothing more than a beautifully decorated, empty room? It's a startling thought, isn't it? At our core, we all share this profound human longing, a deep-seated desire to be genuinely seen, truly known, and loved unconditionally. Too often, this powerful motivation for recognition translates into a frantic, silent race for worldly validation, chasing better financial security, a more impressive status. But could this relentless pursuit be an exhausting mirage, always promising satisfaction, yet delivering an undeniable sense of emptiness? This forces us to ask, what if there's a more substantial, truly soul-satisfying answer to the question of what truly motivates you? The unseen audience, discovering the ultimate reward. That question hangs in the air, doesn't it? If the applause of the world often rings hollow, what's the alternative? Imagine, for a moment, the sheer relief of stepping off a frantic treadmill you didn't even fully realize you were on. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a radical shift in perspective offered to us. The idea is that the greatest, most lasting reward isn't found in earthly treasures, the fleeting praise, or the next big achievement, but in something far more profound, God's approval. Think about Paul, a pivotal figure, who once posed a startlingly direct question that echoes through centuries from his letter to the Galatians. Am I now seeking the approval of man, or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Let those words sink in for a second. Imagine our character from before, the one caught in that cycle of seeking, suddenly encountering this very idea. Perhaps they're idly flipping through ancient texts or a memory sparks. Paul's challenge hits them hard. They begin to reflect, truly reflect, on just how much precious energy, how many hours, how much emotional bandwidth is poured into the often thankless task of trying to please people, to win that fleeting nod of validation. Can you relate to that drain? Then, another thought surfaces, perhaps from the Colossians. Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. Suddenly, a new path seems to illuminate. Our character decides to try it. Maybe it's a simple daily chore they usually rush through, or a complex project at work that's been a source of stress. This time, however, the motivation is different. They attempt the task not for recognition, not for a pat on the back, but as a quiet offering, a heartfelt service directed towards an unseen, yet ever-present, audience. At first, it feels a bit awkward, even counterintuitive. The old habits of seeking external feedback are strong. But then, something shifts. A surprising sense of lightness begins to bubble up. The pressure eases. The tension isn't about performance anymore. It's about the sincerity of the effort, the purity of the heart behind the action. This is the internal pivot, from performance to purpose, from seeking to serving. And in that shift, a powerful climax of realization dawns. Their intrinsic worth, their value as a person, isn't actually tied to the fluctuating graph of human applause or criticism. What a revelation! This is true freedom. The incredible liberation that comes from understanding you don't need the world's spotlight to be seen, or its praise to be valuable. A nascent peace begins to settle in their heart, a quiet confidence they haven't felt before. But this new path, while liberating, also sparks a fresh wave of questions. If the aim is to live for God's approval, what does that genuinely entail? How does He truly see and measure our efforts? Beyond the surface, what God truly sees and treasures? Those are powerful questions, aren't they? Especially if you've ever poured your heart into something, only to feel like your best efforts went completely unnoticed by the world. But here's a game-changing thought. What if the most important observer, the one whose opinion truly matters, misses absolutely nothing? It's a perspective that shifts everything because we learn that God doesn't just see our outward actions. He looks deeper into the very motives of our heart. Imagine this scenario. Sarah, a colleague you know, notices a teammate, David, quietly struggling with a looming deadline, looking utterly overwhelmed. Instead of announcing her help or hoping the boss sees, Sarah anonymously leaves a meticulously organized set of notes on David's desk before anyone arrives, along with a simple and signed sticky note saying, "You've got this." Later that day, she offers a silent prayer for his peace and clarity. No fanfare, no expectation of reward. Now, contrast that with another scenario. Someone making a grand, public donation to a cause, ensuring photographers are present and their name is prominently displayed, perhaps more for the ensuing recognition than the act of giving itself. Which one do you think truly resonates in the grand scheme of things? The incredible truth is that God treasures those hidden acts of obedience, the quiet instances of faith, that whispered prayer for someone else, the encouraging words spoken when no one else is listening, even the tear cried in the silence of your own room when you're grappling with challenges. None of it is missed. Not a single moment of genuine love, truth, or faith is ever wasted in his eyes. And here's where it gets even more beautiful, almost a secret hidden in plain sight. This means even your ordinary tasks can become holy. Yes, your job, the hours you spend studying, the care you put into cooking a meal for your family, your patience in parenting. All these everyday things can transform into acts of worship. How? When the underlying motive of your heart is to honor him, to serve with a spirit of love and gratitude. It's about that inward faithfulness, that fervent spirit in serving the Lord that the writings of Paul in Romans touch upon. The world might measure success by promotions, public accolades, or material gain, creating a stark tension with this divine value system. But the climax of understanding comes when our character, perhaps you, perhaps me, truly grasps the immense value God places on this inner sincerity, on the smallest acts of love performed with a pure heart. It's the staggering realization that you are fully seen, fully known, not for a performance, but for the true intent of your heart. What an incredible depth of being known. This profound awareness naturally makes you marvel, and then wonder, if God values even my most mundane tasks when done for him, how does this practically reshape the way I live each and every day? The liberty of a God-centered life, reshaping your world. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If God truly sees and values our inward faithfulness in the small things, how does that translate into our day-to-day reality? Well, imagine a life where you stop performing and finally, truly start living. What would that actually feel like? Take a moment. Seriously, most of us know the alternative all too well. That constant, on-edge feeling when your primary motivation is to please people. There's the gnawing fear of disappointment, the endless worry about not measuring up, the anxiety of being overlooked or forgotten. It's exhausting. But here's the incredible shift. When pleasing God becomes your focus, a profound sense of freedom washes over you. You begin to realize his love isn't something you have to earn through a flawless performance. It's already yours, a foundational truth of his grace. And this changes everything. Suddenly, your work isn't just a ladder to climb for status. It transforms into a meaningful way to serve well, using your talents for a higher purpose. Your relationships are no longer a desperate quest for validation. Instead, they become opportunities to extend grace, to love more sincerely, and to connect authentically because you're operating from a place of security, not need. When trials come, and they will, they're not seen as divine punishment, but as refining processes, shaping you, making you stronger. Even your self-view undergoes a radical transformation. You stop trying to earn your worth and begin to understand you are already loved beyond measure. This isn't about a life magically free of difficulty. No, it's about facing those difficulties with an entirely different strength, a quiet confidence that no failure or rejection from the world can ultimately shake. The real tension, then, lies in that ongoing daily choice. Will I choose the familiar, anxiety-ridden path of people-pleasing, or the liberating, peace-filled path of God-pleasing? What's truly fascinating, and perhaps an unexpected element for some, is that this God-centered life doesn't lead to a withdrawal from the world. Quite the opposite. It often fosters a more sincere, joyful engagement with others and with life itself. You see, God doesn't just want a small part of your life, a Sunday-only slot, or a crisis management hotline. He desires to be at the very center, to be your why even in the smallest, most ordinary things. As it's powerfully put in 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Imagine our character, the one who's been on this journey of discovery, now consciously making a simple meal, having a difficult conversation, or making a routine decision, all with the quiet intention of honoring God. It's a lifestyle where even lunch breaks can feel sacred. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? But how does one actually cultivate such a constant awareness and devotion amid all of life's inevitable distractions and pressures? The overlooked secret: gratitude, worship, and abiding. That's the core of it, right? How do we maintain that beautiful, sacred connection in the middle of our hectic lives, with all its demands and distractions? You might be surprised by the simplicity of the answer. What if the key to unlocking a life of constant joy and divine connection was something you could start doing right now, with your very next breath? It's not some complex formula or an arduous spiritual discipline, but something beautifully accessible: gratitude. This is the often overlooked secret, the golden thread that, when practiced, turns daily life into an ongoing communion with God and transforms worship from a scheduled event into an entire lifestyle. Imagine our character, the one on this unfolding journey, consciously deciding to weave gratitude into the fabric of their day. They start small, perhaps a moment of genuine thankfulness for the warmth of their morning coffee, the sunlight streaming through the window, or the unexpected kindness of a stranger. Then, they begin to reframe challenges. Instead of seeing a difficult situation solely as a burden, they look for the lesson, the opportunity for growth, and find something to be thankful for even within the struggle. Crucially, they practice acknowledging God's presence, His subtle workings, even when things don't make immediate sense. What happens? Almost imperceptibly at first, their focus begins to shift. It's a slow turn from what's lacking, from the anxieties and the unmet desires, to an appreciation for what's already given, for the countless blessings, big and small. This profound thankfulness does something remarkable. It makes you stop striving in that restless, anxious way and start truly abiding. It's a subtle but powerful shift from a doing faith, constantly trying to earn or achieve, to a being faith, one that rests securely in knowing you are loved by God. Sounds simple? Maybe too simple for our complex world? Yet, often the most profound truths are. The truly unexpected element here is how this simple, consistent act of cultivating gratitude can be far more transformative than many grand, elaborate efforts we might undertake. So, when that inevitable morning question pops into your head, why am I doing all this? What's the point of all this effort? The answer, filtered through a heart filled with gratitude, changes dramatically. It's no longer just about success or status. Instead, a new declaration emerges, not from a place of resignation, but from a wellspring of joyful dependence and purpose. I live because I am loved by God. I wake up because He still has a purpose for me today, and I will do whatever I do for His glory. This, right here, is where true joy is found. This is where real life, vibrant and meaningful, truly begins. So, whatever you do today, big or small, remember to do it for God. Know that He sees you, He delights in you, and He is walking with you every single step of the way. But what happens when our human frailty makes us forget, when we stumble in this resolve? Your amen moment, embracing a life lit by divine purpose. That question of stumbling, of our human frailty, is so real, isn't it? We all waver. Yet, the journey doesn't end with an idea, or even with our imperfections, but with a decision, a heartfelt amen to a different way of living. This is about consciously choosing to make God the reason, the core motivation behind everything you do. It's about embracing that deep desire to reflect His light in a world that often feels dim, to serve with a glad and sincere heart, not for fleeting recognition but purely out of love. It's about aspiring to be a vessel for His glory, keeping your eyes fixed on Jesus as your guide and inspiration. Of course, we'll stumble. There will be times we crave human praise or forget just how deeply we are loved. But these moments aren't failures. They are invitations to turn back, to experience grace anew, and to seek the Holy Spirit's help to live with an eternal purpose in mind. And there's incredible assurance in knowing, as the Spirit of 1 Corinthians 15 verse 58 reminds us, that nothing you do for God is ever truly wasted. Every act of love, every moment of faithfulness, echoes into eternity. So, the invitation is right there for you. Consider making Him your why today. Let God's love and His purpose for you be the wellspring of your daily motivation. It's an open door to a life of profound meaning, where every act, guided by a heart of surrender and love for God, contributes to something lasting, something beautiful. Embrace that hope, accept that gentle challenge.